Hi, and today I am here to answer all your questions about house sitting. We are going to simultaneously go live on Instagram as well. Let's see if we can do that as well. So I'm here to talk about house sitting today. We're just talking about getting more travel into your life. And house sitting is a great way to do that. For you that are new to house sitting, I'm going to be talking about that all this evening. If you have questions, I hope you brought questions because I'm here to answer your questions. It's all about house sitting, and how I save money traveling. But I want you to do the same thing. It doesn't do any good for me to keep all this information to myself when other ladies can be out in the streets house sitting as well. So I know a lot of times we want to take a break and maybe our budget is telling us we can't take a break. And today we're going to talk about how that is not the case. We're not going to let our budget decide whether or not we can travel. That is not what we are going to do. So I see you guys are following in and on YouTube as well. Now, you know what? I'm telling you about house sitting and how I use it. I mean, it is an affordable way to travel around the world. One of the things I can tell you is that, my last vacation in Europe, I spent 5.5 weeks. And during that time, I estimated I saved $4,000 on that 5.5 week vacation. And that is because of house sitting. So it's something that's open to everyone. And it's not anything that I am special and I can do it and you can't. This is definitely something that is available to anyone and everyone. And you know what? If you need a break, you need a break. You don't need to justify that you need a break. But if your budget is telling you, girl, you might need a break, but I need you to not spend money. I need you to, I don't know, save for your retirement. I know I'm not trying to work not going to try to work forever. So if I have the opportunity to travel and to save money at the same time, I will do that. I will definitely do that. So going back to you planning a sabbatical, if there's anybody that is planning a sabbatical, house sitting is a great way that you can save money on that sabbatical, because just think about it. You're taking a break for 3 months, 6 months, or maybe even a year from your corporate job. Well, you're going to be on a fixed amount of money for that duration. And this is a way that you can plan your sabbatical and save some money on a few of those weeks or even a few of those months. Line up some house sits. It's really something that can help you with long-term travel. It's not something hard to do. You can get started very easily. You can get started today, and then you can build that into your travel plans for next year or next month or whenever you're taking off. I know I actually have a friend that is leaving shortly on her sabbatical. So I'm excited for her because I believe she will take a break from corporate for about a year. And I am really, really happy and excited for her to see what she is going to be doing and all the experiences she's going to have while she's traveling this next year. So for me, let me just tell you a little bit about me. I started house sitting when I didn't want my budget to be a constraint to me continuing to travel. Approaching early retirement age, I still wanted to travel. I had been traveling, me and my family, and we wanted to continue to travel, but I wanted to be able to do that and save money, like meet my financial goals at the same time. So that's where house sitting came into play for me. Honestly, it's not one of those like I didn't have the money. I just wanted the money to go to something else. I wanted to make sure that I was being, good with my finances, and why not save money if you're going to travel anyway? So I'm here to answer your questions about house sitting and how to get started. If I don't see any questions coming in, I am going to go through a few tips I have for you if you want to get into house sitting from the beginning. You've never house sat before and you want to get started. But before I give you all those tips, you're like, who is this girl telling me all this? Hi, my name is Jenée and I'm the luxury vagabond. In my late 40s, I quit my job and became a remote worker. And I also became an international luxury property house sitter. And house sitting has really taken me all around the world. You may hear that it can take you around the world. House sitting has taken me around the world, and it can do the same for you. So with all of that I did and all those changes I made in my life, now I decided, you know what? I want to inspire other women over the age of 40 to do the same thing. Doesn't matter what age you are, it's time for you to make a change. And there's no better time in your life than now to design a life that you love to live. And if part of that is a lot of travel, I know it's a lot of travel for me. That's definitely part of it for me. If more travel is in it for you, then you want to get started now. So I'm going to give you a little bit of how to get started as a house sitter. I am an affiliate for Trusted House Sitters, with this is a site that I use for finding house sits. But if you go on there and you see you're like, I don't even know where to get started. How do I build a profile? Things like that. One of the main things in getting started as a house sitter and finding out if it's for you is to listen to some of these stories of myself and other sitters that are out there. And we're bringing you guys along and letting you know, hey, this is what it's really like to be a sitter. These are some of the challenges, the pros and cons of traveling in this kind of way. So you need to find out, is house sitting for you? Are you a person that is resourceful? Are you really responsible? Are you okay with letting your travel plans be dictated around the responsibilities of having a pet? And I think for some of us, if we want to travel, we're willing to do that. We're willing to allow for someone else to let us stay in their luxury home while we travel and while we take care of their pets, their homes, and while we can also enjoy the scenery and the culture of these places that we want to see. And you can do this domestic or abroad, and you can house sit as little or as much as you want. Believe me, there are thousands and thousands upon thousands of sits all over the world. As you're getting started as a sitter, I suggest using a platform from the standpoint of there's insurance included. There are things like that that you don't have to worry about. You won't have to worry about. But that site will give you that. And if you're a first-time sitter and you're looking through the sits, you're like, oh, look at all the places that I can travel. Look at all these places that I can go. And it's completely true. You can enjoy all of these places on a limited budget. All you have to do is get there. So just from the start, people usually ask, like I have a question people are asking, are you paid to house sit? We are not, at least through Trusted House Sitters. We are not paid. I do not get paid to house sit. I tell people that I don't get paid, but I get paid in other ways. I don't get paid money. And what I mean by that is not only do I receive free accommodations, I also receive free transportation sometimes to and from the airport, or use of their vehicle, or things like that, or they'll stock the fridge. So there's all these other ways that they add value to me coming and staying and taking care of their homes and pets as a house sitter that are not necessarily money based. Sometimes I get free dinners the night before. It's really a community where you'll find that you may not be getting paid, but you are getting rewarded in other ways that make it so worth your while to do it. So let's talk about, can you be a sitter and you don't have any pet experience? It's okay. It's okay I'm telling you, it's okay if you don't have any pet experience. It's perfectly fine. I get that question a lot of times, and the answer is yes, you can. You have to make sure that you're okay with being around pets, of course. There's different kinds of pets. There's dogs, cats, turtles, snakes, chickens, all kinds of pets. And it's a matter of, you deciding what's your lane? Like, what do you want to stay in? What do you want to do? Some people say, oh, there's even horses. When I'm telling you that you can find a space for yourself within house sits or house sittings, you definitely can. There are some sits that actually have no pets. Now, those sits are rare, but they do exist. And today on my feed, I actually posted one just to prove to people, yes, there are house sits without pets. They're rare. They're highly competitive, but they do exist. And so if you want to become a house sitter and you want to focus on a certain pet, you don't have to take all pets. You don't have to go to places that you don't want to go. Remember, this is a sharing community. You decide where you want to go and where you want to apply. And it's just that simple. So if you don't have any pet experience, but you want to be a pet sitter, I do have a few tips. If you have a friend with a pet, that's a good way to find some time to be around a pet and get used to being around a pet. If you don't have a friend with a pet, if you want to get a little experience by volunteering at a shelter or something like that, you can do that. That is totally not even necessary. This is really just for you to make sure you feel comfortable being around a pet, because the last thing you would want to do is become a house sitter. Sign up for a house sit for a pet that you're not able to connect with the pet and take care of the pet's needs, because that is your job as a house sitter. Your job is to be there for the pet and to take care of the home. This is, if you are the type of person that likes to have somebody to call anytime there is something going on in the house, if you are the type of person you're like, something is wrong, I need somebody to take care of it, this is why you are the house sitter. You have to know you are going to be the one responsible for making those calls. Most homeowners have those resources set up, but you are there to manage it. The house sitter doesn't want to be, the house sitter is there so that the owner can travel and enjoy their trip without getting calls from the house sitter regarding different things. So you need to be a problem solver. And if you can, I say, if you can be a problem solver and you have a home or apartment that you can take care of now and take care of well, you know who to call to do things, you can figure stuff out, how to work different ovens, how to do all this kind of thing. Sometimes how to work through different languages in different countries. If you can do those things and let's say you do that for yourself when you are traveling, then you can be a house sitter. One of the things you will need in order to get started, should you decide to get started, is you are going to need a character reference. And that does not have to be someone within the site. It can be a friend, someone you worked with, but you need someone that's going to rave about you, that someone is going to say, you are the best person they have ever met. and they encourage anyone around the world to get to know you and to bring you in their home and let you take care of their pets and their home. They need to know you're responsible. They need to know that, my pets are going to be, I could be traveling halfway around the world and I'm not going to be worried because Jenée or whoever is going to be there taking care of my home. I tell people, if you're a new sitter and you're have someone writing a character reference about you, they need to say 3 things and ingrain that in what they're saying, which is, you are a caring person, you're a loving person, you're a responsible person. And they need to know that over and over again, because really the reason they're on this site is because they want somebody like that to take care of their pets. And they want to read that in your profile. As a new sitter, you want to make sure that you have a profile that seems super friendly. So make sure your pictures have you smiling. It shows you doing things that you enjoy doing. You have those from your other vacations. You're just going to repurpose those for your profile as a house sitter. And then we're going to use either a friend's pet, neighbor's pet, something. And we're going to take a picture of ourselves with that pet and add it to our profile as well. Because if you're brand new, we just want to let the homeowners know you have a little bit of experience. And look, I am friendly. Pets like me. They take pictures with me as well. Now, does anyone have any more questions? Because I am here to answer all your questions about house sitting and how you can get started. Because the main thing is I want you to be able to explore like I have with house sitting. House sitting has been so valuable to me. It's my favorite travel hack. I can tell you, I've always been a budget traveler. I have no shame. I have always been a budget traveler. I was using Priceline and Facebook forums back in the day to find hotel deals. I was bidding on travel. I was bidding on airfare or airline tickets, things like that. I've always been a budget traveler. Some of that is because when you are a young family, it can be difficult or expensive to travel and take like four people or more. So if you have a family and you're traveling with a group, you understand what I'm saying. It can take a lot of money and seem like it take a lot of money to have like a really wonderful vacation. Now, you can use house sitting at any level. I've branded myself as an international luxury property sitters. That is specifically what I gear my profile towards and what I look forward to. I'm sorry, that's just me. I'm looking for the mansions. Yes, I am. I'm looking for the apartments with the wonderful views. I'm looking for the villas. That is me. I do not have shame in that. That is just how I want to travel. Now, sometimes I may be feeling like I want to stay in a cabin. I mean, I might do that too. All of that is on there. I'm telling you, however you want to travel, there is something for somebody at the level of what you want. If you're an outdoors person and you were like, I want to stay outdoors. I want views of the lake. I want to go to Canada and Vancouver and I want to have views and I want to watch whales. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing, you can find your little niche in house sits, and there are house sits for you. There's even house sits on boats. Okay, I haven't seen any on a yacht, not yet. But on boats, like on sailboats, I have seen house sits in RVs, like out in the middle of nowhere. I have seen house sits definitely in cabins. I've seen them in cabins, off-grid properties in Costa Rica, like out in the middle of the jungle, out in the middle of jungle in Mexico as well, not off-grid, but properties very secluded, large estates. There's a little bit, I'm telling you, there's a little bit of everything on the site and a little bit of everything available to anyone that wants to be a house sitter. So if you are brand new, this is one of the tips that we talk about. So how do you get started? And you've gotten a character reference and all of that. One of the things too is that you want to apply for your first sit and kind of make it easy on yourself. Like, we're not trying to make it hard. We're really not. We want to get started traveling, but let's not overburden ourselves with a lot. We want to continue to, we want to ease into house sitting. So I do recommend that the first sit you have is a local sit. Now, if you're like me, like I'm gonna be honest, I'm not trying to be in Houston. If y'all know me, I'm not trying to be in Houston. I do stuff in Houston. I enjoy the city when I'm here, but I'm not trying to be a house sitter to stay home. That's what I tell people. I'm just being honest. I joined and became a house sitter because I was already traveling to Mexico. I just wanted to travel to Mexico more and wanted to go to Europe and other places around the world. But if you're getting started as a house sitter, the best thing to do is to do a local sit first. Now, that's just a suggestion. Doesn't mean that your first sit has to be local. And that doesn't mean you can't get a house sit that is somewhere far away. It's just, let me tell you why it's easier to start kind of in your backyard. One of the things is you want things to be familiar. So we are talking about, I know where everything is in my city. I know the traffic patterns. If I need help, if I need to go to the grocery store or any of that, I already know that. I know the lay of the land. So everything is really familiar, and you want to keep it that way because a lot of your brain power is going to go to being on the first sit. There's a lot of stuff you don't know until you start getting on that first sit. So if logistics wise, like you can, if it's local, you have your own vehicle, those types of things. You don't have to worry about transportation. That just makes it easier for you to deal with. And that's the only reason I say go local. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an easier way for you to get a sit. And the reason I say that is they usually say it will be easier to get you your first sit local. I'm telling y'all right now, my first house sit was international. I know everybody is not me, but I try to do the most. I'm not lying when I say I try to do the most. If I find out there's something like I want to try, I'm not going to try it at this level. I'm going to try it at this level. That's just me. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm not saying you have to do that. You may not want to deal with having to, speak Spanish to the gentleman that is coming to deliver the water to your house on your first house sit. You may not have to want to do that. And I understand that. So that's why I say, first sit, keep it easy, make it local. You already know everything. All you have to concentrate on is like, how do I take care of this pet? What is the pet schedule? What are the things I need to be doing? You want to concentrate on that. Now, the next thing is if you want to, okay, you're like, Jenée, I don't want to stay home either. I don't want to stay home. I want my first sit to be international. Okay, you know what? Swing for the fences. I'm the same kind of person. Just do that. Swing for the fences. You could have your first one be somewhere around the world, somewhere you've always dreamed of going. I have tips if you want to do that, though. And I'm telling you, I'm trying to help you out so that you will get started and not, be like, oh, I was thinking about doing it, but all these reasons I can't get out and do this. Yes, you can. If you're going to go international on your first sit, here's some tips. Number one, pick a country you already have experience traveling in. So for me, it was Mexico. I had a lot of travel experience with Mexico. So it was very easy for me to find somewhere in Mexico that I have not been and to apply for that and tell the homeowner, hey, I'm a new house sitter and I've been to Mexico 6 times already. I speak intermediate Spanish, and let them know I will be okay because I've been to Mexico plenty of times. I may have not been to your city or your village or your town, but I'm gonna be good. And you need to know that it's okay. You can pick me because I got you covered. I can figure it out. I've been there before. So if you're going to go international, I say pick a country you already have experience traveling in. And if you don't speak the language, obviously pick one that they speak English. Okay? You want one that they speak English. Pick a city that also is overflowing with house sits. So I got one of my best friends started house sitting. I have to tell y'all this because this is a testimony to how you can get out and do this. I had a friend, yes, she was well-traveled, but she had never been a house sitter. She does not own pets. She had friends that she had been around their dogs and that type of thing. So she was familiar with, she was fine being around pets. I was able to help her with her profile. And she told me, she said, I want to start house sitting because my husband and I are traveling to Australia and New Zealand. And Jenée, do you think I can land a sit there? And I was like, yes. Okay, yes, we can. I said, yes, we can. We can do that. We can have your first sit be in Australia or New Zealand. And so I worked through that with her. Again, she was an experienced traveler. She's going to a country that she has not been to before, but she's literally been to 30-something countries, and she's going somewhere where they speak English. So it was easy for her to stretch enough and be like, my first house sit is going to be in this area because it's not a high, large learning curve. Now, if you want to do the same thing where, there's a lot of concentrated sits and you're a new homeowner, a new house sitter, and you want to go overseas, pick a country that has a ton of sits. And on the website or on their list, like Trusted House Sitters, you will see there are literally thousands in Australia. And you're like, girls, Australia is far. I know Australia is far. If that's too far, pick the UK. The UK has literally thousands of sits all the time, all year round. So number one, like I said, if you're going to go international, you're going to pick a country you've already traveled to, right? So you can keep it easy. Or you're going to pick a country that has so many sits, so many homeowners looking for a house sitter. They are going to be like begging you, like, I don't need to talk to anybody else. Are you available? Please come to my house. And the UK is one of them. The UK is overflowing with sits all year round. You literally, I'm not saying do this, but I'm saying you literally could go to the UK, fly there, arrange yourself a little bit of housing for however long, like an Airbnb or something, and look for sits while you're on the ground. And I can tell you, you would be able to find them just like this, just like this. So if you're brand new and you've never had a sit before, look at the UK. And you want to go international? Look at the UK. Other places that are extremely concentrated with sits. You also want to look for homeowners that they're pressed for a sitter. Let's say you already decided you're going, I don't know, you're going to Canada, and you see there's a homeowner that is trying to book 3 different dates. Okay. 3 different dates. They need basically 3 different sitters. If it's throughout the year or it's throughout 2 or 3 months, it's going to be hard for them. They can't, it's not always easy for them to find 3 different people or to find one person that can do, like, I can do May and I can come back to your house in October. That's not going to happen. A lot of times they're going to need 3 different people. So if they're looking for multiple dates, that's a good way for you to get in as a new sitter as well, because especially if the dates are further apart. Okay. Dates are further apart. And that's exactly what we did with my girlfriend that got her first sit in New Zealand. So she was already going, and in her New Zealand sit, that particular homeowner, number one, they had used the site a lot and they had had a ton of sitters. Like, they had been on the site for years. So they do house sitting like this, but they had three dates listed, and one of them was up and coming less than a month. And my girlfriend was traveling in that time frame. And so the dates aligned, and bingo, they immediately was like, oh, we need to talk to you because we're leaving. This first date is less than a month in New Zealand, and we need a sitter. And this is the first of 3 sitters that we will need. And that's exactly how she got in. Oh, I see Katrina's, one of my friends, Katrina, is talking about the UK might be her first sit. Don't get me started. You know, we will have you all up in the UK all the time, all the time. Audrey, I was just thinking, you want to get started? I'm going to tell you, look, before I went remote, okay, let me tell you this. Before I went remote, I was working in corporate America, and I just was using house sitting during my vacation time. So it is like a little bit more maneuvering on the dates. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to take a weekend, a 4-day weekend or something like that. And depending on how good they are with approving your vacation, I don't even want to talk about that, like getting vacation not approved or whatever. I was blessed enough to work at a company that I did not have an issue getting my vacation approved, but I know that's a thing. Like, they don't want y'all to go nowhere and they want to keep you in the building. But what I'm saying is, you can use it with your current, within your current vacation, that's exactly how I started. Because I was not remote at the time when I started house sitting. I was using it during my vacation time. Then I went hybrid. Then I went full remote. So one of the things also, let's see. I see y'all have a couple of questions. Yes, SLS forever. I just did my first house sit in New York City. I have a plan to house sit in Australia to save money so I can hop around the South Pacific Islands. This is what I'm talking about. This is the idea. We are going to use it to extend our vacation and to save money. Okay. This right here, Australia, I have to say, is on my list too. The whole South Pacific thing. So I want you to go. And when you go, report back if you're going to be doing it down there. Because that is definitely one of the things on my list. It is, for me, it's one of those that, because I work remote, the time zone issue is an issue for myself and my husband. We're both remote, but the Asia times difference is something we don't want to deal with. We definitely would have to take vacation, at least at this moment in time. I mean, if you're watching in the future and we've, both exited corporate America or retired early, then that's not an issue. But Katrina said, and New Zealand. Yes, and New Zealand. That time difference, no. Europe is about, the most that I've been able to, like, my body can take is about a 6-hour difference in my work schedule, because I am working either supporting East Coast or Central Time, sometimes Pacific. It just depends. But that's about the most I can do. I can't be up in the middle of the night. I can't be up at 2 a.m. Checking emails. And y'all are not going to get nothing out of my brain at that moment in time. So I just know that, yeah. So got me talking about Australia. I want to go to Australia as well, Australia and New Zealand. Now, I was going back to those of you that want to get started international because y'all are, y'all doing the most like me. And you're like, my first sit needs to be somewhere out this country because I need to get out this country. I need a break from this country. Y'all know I'm trying to get a permanent break from this country. I'm working on that. I'm working on it. I'm not saying you should be working on it too, but maybe you might. And this is a good way to, if you're scouting locations for where that exit is going to be, and when you want to stay forever somewhere else, use house sitting to scout. So the good thing with house sitting, using house sitting to scout is this. You're going to be staying in a neighborhood. You're going to get the real deal. And if you stay long enough, if you can book a sit that is like a week or 2 weeks, something like that, you're more ingrained in like what the everyday is of the location. House sitting it can be very different, a different experience than this regular travel and sitting at a hotel and like sitting by the pool, those types of things. Now you can book houses that have pools and you can just sit by the pool too. But if you're looking to relocate to another country, get yourself some house sits as part of your scouting. Move around a little bit, see some new places, stay there, learn about the culture, learn what the flow is of each and every day, make some friends, those types of things. When you're there longer, and then you're not worried about your budget either. You have 2 weeks, you have 2 weeks, and you didn't have to spend that money for those 2 weeks, wherever it is. Do that. Use the money for experiences and use that to bop around and find out where you want to be. So anyone else that let's see, were there any more questions? Okay. Oh, yes. SLS said they're going to report back because they're freelance and self-employed. See, I'm not there yet as far as, like I said, that total freedom. But you know what? I'm trying to be honest. I am definitely trying to be out of the working game and be retired, or as they say, fake retired, doing something else in the next 5 years or so. So anyway, let's continue. I just wanted to tell you one more thing about the whole international booking. An international sit is your first sit. I talked about if that homeowner has multiple locations or multiple dates they're trying to fill, you also want to make sure maybe their house is not in an ideal location. That's the same thing that happened when I was able to get my friend on her first sit in New Zealand. Their sit was not in where all the tourists want to be because those are more competitive, right? But if they're in a small town or a village or somewhere where you need transportation, like 30 minutes outside where everybody and their mom wants to stay, that's where you come in. That's where you as the new sitter comes in and you're like, hey, I can stay and I don't need to be in the center of the action. I'm fine being out in the countryside and taking in, the local cheese and wine in France in a small village because I'm not the one that needs to stay in Paris. I'm open to being out where you are and being in your community. And maybe I want to brush up on speaking French. I'm not sure. But I can be your first sitter and be out that far. So if their house is not an ideal location, that's another way to get in as a first-time sitter. Even as a first-time sitter, though, I'm going to tell you this. We want to still enjoy getting out and doing things. So you need to know your limits. If you're still you want to see the area, you want to enjoy what the area has. So you want to make sure that you know your limits on keeping whatever animal it is, little fur baby it is. I suggest as a new sitter, you keep your first sit short. That's just to make sure that you are ready to house sit, meaning that you're comfortable. A weekend sit, a 4-day sit is not bad for you to get in and be like, do I even like caring for dogs? You know what I mean? 1 or 2 dogs. Can I deal with cats walking across my computer when I was trying to work? Whatever it is, it's like a preview. So if you can do like a weekend sit or 4 days, that way you don't feel locked in. Because if you pick a long sit, you are responsible for staying during that time. So, at that point, you don't want to feel locked in. You get there and you feel like either this is not for me, or what if you have allergies? Nobody talks about that, but I've had to deal with that actually with my husband, and allergies and pets. And if you don't know if you have allergies, the last thing you want to do is book a 1 week sit with a long-haired cat and get there, get settled in, and find out you are miserable the whole week. So short sit if you're new, ideally. And I would say this: short sit ideally. And for me, like knowing my limits, I have a limit too. I'm not a full-time house sitter, because I do have a house that I am, I have a base. My husband and I have a home base in Houston. I am not a full-time sitter. We're not completely nomads, meaning we do move around, but we are not, we still have responsibilities here. We still have a house. We still have our children here, parents, that type of thing. So we're not completely disconnected. We do have things that we have to stay here and do. That being said, we can be gone for long lengths of time. When I say know your limits, I had to learn my limits. I already know my limit, Jenée's limit for walking dogs. Max is about 8 to 10 days, max. And the reason I say that is because I don't own dogs, and the whole walking schedule, depending on what it is and where it is. Now, it's different if they have a yard. Like if the house has a yard, it's a little bit different, because if there's a doggy door, the dog can go out. But we're talking about like apartments in Europe, things like that. If your dog is on a 2 to 3 times a day walking schedule, and on top of that, I am working, right, because I'm working remote, Jenée's limit is about 8 to 10 days, because after that, I am done with walking the dog. I love the dogs. I love them. They're my buddies. We have a great time. We play fetch. We do all types of things. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen some of my previous sits where we play. We have a good time. We jump in the pools. We do all the things. But let me tell you, at 8 or 10 days, Jenée is ready to give the fur baby back. I consider myself the fairy godmother. So after my time is up, I click my little heels and then I go home, and then I give them back to their parents. And I've had my time, they've had their time. Everybody had a great time. And my responsibility of the walking, along with my job, or just walking in general, is over. So we are going to know our limits when you are a new sitter. You need to, it's better to figure those out on a short sit than to figure it out when you're somewhere halfway across the world for a month. I also say, when you are a new sitter, don't take on any pets that have heavy needs. And what I mean by that is, you read and they're like, oh, I bought a new puppy and we're still training him and he's so cute and all of this, that, and the other. You a new sitter? First of all, I don't even do puppies. I don't. That's too much work. And especially a new sitter. Do you want to help train a dog? If that is your lane, then fine. But read between the lines. What that means is a lot more work. And small dogs, if there's no yard, oh yeah, you're going to be walking them. Because then them little guys, they need to go out, they need to go to the bathroom. Their bladders are tiny. They need to take their little walk. So they're not going to be like a big dog where it's like, take me in the morning and take me at night before bed, and I can make it through the night. It's not going to happen. So make sure that you are just thinking about those things. And I don't want to overwhelm you. That's why I'm doing this live, is because I want people to ask questions. And a lot of times when you're new, you don't even know what to ask or what to look for, but there's plenty of us out there. You can DM me and be like, I don't know what to do about this. Can you help me? We're open to that. See, that's what I'm talking about. She's talking about SLS said they want the dog walk 4 times a day. And the thing is, there are people that is their schedule, but you may not want that to be your schedule. You may not want that to be your schedule. So you need to consider that when you are thinking of becoming a house sitter. And I'm not saying don't be a house sitter. What I'm saying is be a house sitter, but be choosy on what you're doing. There are plenty of house sits. Don't feel like you are locked into doing a specific house sit. And just know you're going to have to, there's a good chance. Now, I gave you some tips to kind of shortcut getting your first sit. Like literally, my girlfriend did not have to apply a lot. She applied for 2 sits and she immediately got one. I gave you some tips on how to kind of shortcut the whole applying thing. For me, I think I applied like 13 times? Maybe I applied to like 13 sits before I got my first house sit. I think it was like 13. I think I counted it one time. It was maybe like 13 before I got my first sit. That's because I was applying. First of all, I didn't know these tips. And I was applying local. I was applying in Mexico. I didn't really have, I didn't really have a system down. And so I was just applying, and eventually something hit. But it took me more effort just because I didn't know these little hacks. That's why I'm like trying to save y'all. Y'all don't need to. If I would have known, I just would have been like, I'm just going to go to the UK because I can get a sit tomorrow. And I wouldn't have had to go through all that to get my first sit. That being said, those are things that you want to consider or that you need to know as coming into house sitting. Again, I just want to remind you guys that if you're taking a sabbatical, house sitting can be awesome for you. It can be actually awesome for you to use this in your house, in your sabbatical plans, long-term plans. Now, if you want to be a house sitter, this is my affiliate link. I get like $2 if you decide to join Trusted House Sitters, but I really do like the site. I'm not an affiliate because I don't know, they asked me to be or whatever. I was an affiliate. I call it an affiliate on the road for the first 2 years without them paying me a dime. And even if I didn't get a dime, I would still talk about the service and what they provide on their website because I really do love it. And it has served me well. Y'all follow me on Instagram. Y'all know where I stay. Those are all Trusted House Sitter sits. Every single one of them. So do you think I'm going to go anywhere else? And you think I'm going to tell you to go anywhere else? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. There are other resources to get started as a sitter. I don't use those. I use Trusted House Sitters. And I've been really happy with them. I've been really happy for them. So let's say you're a new sitter and now you're ready to get out and you need to interview with the pet homeowner. I know y'all are not going to believe this, but tell me if you think you know what is the main issue, negative feedback that I hear that new house sitters make in their interview. Because I've heard the feedback from homeowners because, like I said, y'all don't understand. When I say I get into something and I like do it, I have been advocating for Trusted House Sitters so much that there's a few homeowners, a few sits that y'all have seen me get. They weren't even on the site. They weren't even on Trusted House Sitters. They were a friend of somebody else, and I onboarded them. I onboarded the homeowner onto Trusted House Sitters, got them to set up their profile. Some of them, I read their welcome guide to make sure it's efficient enough for the next travelers, for whoever they were going to bring in. I literally went over and gave them feedback. I'm like, let me help you. Let me set you up. In fact, my very first house sit, the one I was telling you about where my first house sit was in Mexico, in Monterrey, Mexico. That homeowner was a friend of a homeowner. So there was a homeowner that I had kept applying for her. She was a teacher. She was down in Monterrey, and I applied. She had a cat, and I kept applying. I applied like 2 or 3 times, and because every time she had a school break, she would post that she needed a sitter, and she kept finding somebody local. And I eventually did this. This is another tip. This is I think, you know what? Whoever is watching this or whoever watches in the future, y'all are getting like all my secrets. Y'all are seriously getting all my secrets. The homeowner, she kept posting, kept posting. She kept finding somebody already in Mexico, and so she wouldn't pick me, but she kept saying, I love your profile. I would love to have you here. I just had somebody local, blah, blah, blah. The next time she told me that, I wrote her back and I said, hey, I know you're a teacher. If you have a friend at the school, this, that, and the other, tell them about the site and let them know that I'm looking to come down and spend some time in your city. She passed it on to a sitter. This is what I said. I onboarded that sitter. The sitter contacted me, the homeowner contacted me and said, I'm not on the site. Tell me how to get on, this, that, and the other, and I'd love to have you come down. We went through the whole process, did all that. Where there's a will, there's a way, is what I'm saying. So going back to what do you want to do as far as nobody told me what they think the big mistake is that first time home house sitters do in their interview. Okay, I'm going to tell y'all because nobody guessed. You guys did not guess. Would you believe that the biggest mistake that they make in the interview is that they don't talk about the pet at all? Or they barely talk about the pet. They talk about, oh, I can't wait to visit your area. I've been in love with Spain forever, and I'm learning Spanish, and I'm doing all these things. And yes, I can't wait to visit your area. And I saw this resort and this beach I want to visit and all of that. They don't say now one thing about the pet. Don't you guys do that? I hear from homeowners, and that's why y'all don't get sits, and I get them. Is because they come to me and they're like, can you believe the last person I talked to said nothing about my pet? It was just all about where they wanted to stay and what they wanted to do while they were here. And they said nothing about the pet. Yes. Yes. They don't care nothing about the pets. And that's what the homeowners here. The homeowners here, I don't care nothing about your pet. I'm just trying to stay in your home and go be on vacation. And I'm not going to do a thing. I'm not going to play with the pet. I'm not going to do anything. Yeah, you can write all that stuff, but they're not going to get any love. I hear that all the time, all the time. And you know, another thing I hear is, I've heard this recently. And now if y'all saw on my story, I posted that I'm going to spend a few days in a Texas castle. Actually, you know what? That's the biggest square footage wise. That is the biggest home that I have booked as a house sitter so far. I said so far. But it should be a fun time. It'll just be kind of like a somewhat staycation. It's outside of Houston. And that homeowner herself, she told me, she said, Jenée, she said, I had a sitter, now not from Trusted House Sitters. I think she was her son had been using, gosh, what's the name of that site? Some other site. No, I'm not going to lie to y'all. I can't remember the name of the other site. He was using some other site for dog walking. And he's I think he was in Colorado or something like that. And then, so he was like, hey mom, he's like in college. He's like, hey mom, this site is really good. They've had people come walk my dog. I've been successful with it or whatever. You should try using them. When I tell you that woman told me, worst experience ever. She said she was on vacation. She booked somebody through there. They came in, they were a younger sitter, younger in age. That woman told me that it was the worst experience ever. She's on vacation, and the house sitter who's supposed to be taking care of the pets and everything never gave her updates about the pets at all. Do you know what they were contacting her about? I can't get the Bluetooth at the pool to work. How do I connect my phone so I can hear the music down by the pool? I'm telling you, people are just not aware. Some people are being trifling. I'm telling you guys, if you are not that person, you will be ahead of the game, because there are some people out here, they are not doing people right. They are not doing people right. Okay? Not at all. You're not going to be that type of sitter. And so you'll be just fine. You'll be just fine. So make sure when you interview, you are talking about the pet. Be comfortable. Be comfortable talking to people, making connections, and homeowners really appreciate the time that you take to do that. And if you're new, make sure that you're reading not everything the homeowner, not just what the homeowner wrote, but make sure that you are reading everything from previous sitters. If they've had some other sitters, read all that too, because it's always a cute little thing to do that, and I add this to my letters that when I apply, I put a little something about the pet that lets them know I read about their pet. Like maybe their pet has a certain toy they love, or they like to swim on the weekends, or this and the other. I make sure to include that in my little letter. I always tell them, that tells them like I'm attention to detail. I've read about the pet. I'm interested in your pet. And I read everything everyone has to say about them. And here's my application, and you can tell. So yes, like Katrina says, she's right. The interview goes both ways. The interview process goes both ways. So this is something that you need to remember. You are interviewing them, and they are interviewing you as well. So one of the things when you are going to put in your application, there is an absolutely awesome template that Stephanie Perry at Vicarious puts out in her Housesitter Toolkit. I will link her toolkit in this video's description because I do not have it ready to drop it in the chat right now live, but I will link it below. Great template. That's the template I started with. And now I'm saying it's a template. What it means is she's giving you the template. Oh, excuse me, but you need to make it your own. This is like a template, but don't like word for word use as is. Take it and make it your own. Because you need to bring your own personality to it. Mine is very specific, and I tailor it to each and every house sit. Each one is different. There's certain components of my letter that I keep the same, especially like I have a section. I'm not going to tell you what's in the section, but I have a section at the bottom of my letter that says, here's the reasons I am the perfect sitter. I treat my application like a resume, as if I'm trying to get a job, So my letter is pretty good now. It's pretty good. In fact, I have homeowners reaching out to me. And if you do what you do and you do it well, and you guys get out and you start doing well, getting these 5-star reviews, you'll have homeowners reaching out to you as well. And then you know what you can do? You can do stuff like I do, which is I had homeowners this is funny. I couldn't get a local sit. Now, I used to have on my profile, I had to put at the top, I am not accepting sits in the Houston metro area, because people start hitting me up locally. And I was like, I am not trying to be here. So I don't want y'all to waste your time. Don't send me don't send me anything. It's not against the homeowners. It's just, I do not want to be in Texas. It's hot here. I'm not trying to be here. Please find a sitter that really wants to come visit Texas. I'm here already. I don't want to be here. So I had at the top of my profile, I had currently not accepting house sits in the Houston metro area. And I put, and it even had up there, I mostly do, or currently doing sits internationally in spring and fall, this, that, and the other. So we have an understanding. So you know what I'm looking for. You see my profile and you be like, oh, I want to have her. This woman is not trying to be in Texas. So if you're somewhere else, you're in Mexico or something, hit me up all the time. So do you guys need any more tips about during the sit? I love that, there is someone like SLS Forever on here, because you're already a current sitter. So that means you're here and you're like, she might give me some more tips. So if you have some questions, I'm telling you, I got all kinds of tips. But we're going to move on to during the sit, things to do during the sit. And these are things that I do this is partially because of the type of properties that I sit. Okay, we're talking about luxury properties. During the sit, I always provide a daily update at the end of the day to the homeowners. I don't care if they ask for it. they're going to get it anyway. I don't care if they read it, they're going to get it anyway because I'm on my job. I'm on my job. Okay. I will tell them at the end of the night, I send through WhatsApp, and this is part of the process of when I'm interviewing. I will tell them, and I suggest you do the same thing. You're going to receive updates from me every day, every night. I don't care if you read them. They're just so you know everything is okay. That's all they're for, because you want them to enjoy their vacation, but they love their pets and they really just would love to see like a picture or a video or something of the, it's kind of like think about this. If you have children and you've had children in daycare, having them in daycare is like, you know how they have like the little cameras where you can be like, "Do, do, 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 do. Let me see what my child is doing. Oh, my child is acting up," that type of thing. They like that for their pets. So what I do is I make sure I have picture and video of the day and then a write-up. And in my write-up, again, very, very organized. I know y'all can tell all these details. They're not necessary, but they're really nice to have, and they separate yourself. I'm telling you how to separate yourself from the pack. Okay? You don't have to do any of this. You can be like, Jenée, that's too much. I don't want to do any of that. You don't have to do any of this, and you can still be a great sitter. You can still be a great sitter. But what I'm trying to do is get you to separate yourself so that you can get the sits that you want, like the quality sits. So like when you see a sit and you're like, Jenée, I need to get away. I need to get away. And I want to go to Iceland. I don't know. I'm picking a place. I want to go to Iceland. Or this house sit came up in Ibiza. Everybody and their mama is going to be looking to get that sit in Ibiza. Okay? If you're not doing these extra things like leading up to that and used to doing that, it won't get you in the door. It won't get you in the door. That's the thing. You want to be able to jump in and get in and be like, they talk to all these people, but when they talk to you, they'd be like, I don't even talk to anybody else. I've had homeowners do that. If I'm their first interview, ain't nobody else getting an interview. I'm just being honest. You do these things that I'm telling you as a new sitter and set this bar this high, it will be very difficult for people to tell you no once they talk to you as far as being a sitter. If you bring your energy and whatever your time, you do need to have a connection with the homeowner. But what y'all are seeing here, and if y'all know me, if you've seen me in person and you see how I'm in person, that's how I am with homeowners. They appreciate you. Like whoever you are, that's who you need to be. So one of the things I tell you is this. When you were doing the daily, you're sending daily end of day, right? Mine has a video. It has maybe a couple of pictures, me and the pet by itself, whatever. Look, he's happy. He's doing his thing. He's got his favorite toy. We went to the beach, whatever it is. They're going to get a picture every single day. And then there's going to be a write-up. And the write-up is going to be organized, and it has different areas. It has how they did with their meals, how they did with their medication, if I had any issues with that, what the pet's mood was like. Y'all, I'm telling you, homeowners do not tell me no. It is very rare. Usually if I get a no, it's because somebody is already in the country or around the corner, or their family decided to come do it for them. I'm telling you. Meals, what their mood is like, how their medication was, and any housekeeping. Housekeeping as far as the maid came, but she broke a vase. Or, you had a package that arrived and I've put it in the front hallway. Those types of things. Every day they are going to get that. And I don't care if they read it or not. They can't say that I didn't communicate well and that they couldn't go back. Like if they were just too busy and they didn't want to do anything and look at anything because they are too busy living their best life, which is what I want, because through house sitting, they are helping me live my best life too, for free. Win-win situation. Everybody is happy. Everybody is happy. So also during the sit, this is something I do for properties that are very well maintained. And if there's a chance that housekeeping is not going to come before the homeowner gets home. So most sits I take, there is housekeeping involved. They're going to come before I get there. They're going to come after I leave, or the day I leave, right? So, and sometimes and depending on how long I'm there, they're going to come clean the house while I'm there as well. That being the case, I like things to stay exactly as the homeowner left them, like as if I was not there. And the way I do this, secret tip. Do you know what I do? When I go into each room, if it has a lot of different things in a particular place, I've stayed in some beautiful, okay, side note, I've stayed in some beautiful homes where the wives were designers and like, can I move in? Like, seriously, I am in awe in some of these design, like the way the home is designed and the furniture and all that. I'm just like, my kind of people. That being said, those people are very particular on things and where they are. When I arrive, I take a picture in each room so I can reset the room. That includes resetting the bed and all 50 pillows on the bed, the way they were when I arrived. Yes. That's how I keep things organized. Just take a picture. And then before I leave, that's right, take a picture. Take a pre-picture when you arrive. And then you know exactly. That's what you do. Audrey knows that's what you do. You just take a picture. Then I can reset the room. Now, a lot of times, like I said, housekeeping is coming. I don't have to do anything. They just say, they say, don't strip the bed, don't do nothing. Just the housekeeper will come, just like the house, and they'll come before I get there. And I'm like, that sounds like a beautiful plan. But if that is not the case, we've already predetermined, maybe I'm going to just strip the bed and put the sheets in the laundry room. I'm not going to wash them. I'm just going to, because that's why they have help. That's not my job. They're paying somebody to do that. So I don't need to do that job. So maybe I'm just going to strip the bed, and that's what we've determined. And but then I remake the bed. I remake the bed with all the pillows and all of that, and make sure that everything in the kitchen is where it was supposed to be and that type of thing. So that's kind of an on-sit thing. A lot of homeowners do not on-sit reminders. And what that is like, there's a calendar that's within the app, and it will tell you, hey, there are, you could put in the calendar, feed, 2 shots at whatever. This particular pet has medication, and this is when you do it. I'm going to be honest, I have yet to see, may have had one homeowner actually use the on-sit reminders in the calendar. I put it all on my phone. I go through their welcome guide, and I put all that stuff in my personal phone because we're not going to miss any meals, no pills, no nothing. That schedule is going to be pretty set because it's going to be in my phone. I'm going to get reminders. So that's kind of a on the sit type thing. That's another thing that I do, is to make sure that you just want to keep yourself organized. And that way you don't have to worry about it. You can go do stuff. You can go get out for the day. You can go to the local markets. You can go do stuff. And then you get a reminder that says, oh, let me stop what I'm doing and let me go do this. Or if you're working, you can just work your day, and then you can get a reminder and know that it's time for you to put whatever out or take somebody for a walk. So the last thing I would say is, that's the stuff I do on the sit. But do you know I do stuff after the sit as well? If there's anybody, now I know SLS Forever, I don't know if she is still on. Do you do anything after the sit? I actually do stuff after my house sits. These are niceties that I like to do, because when you're a house sitter, you are making connections with people. And a lot of times I end up with homeowners that are friends that I become a repeat sitter, or, before they even post it, they'll reach out to me personally and just text me outside the app and say, hey, Jenée, we're going away and whatever. Before I post it, I want to see if you and maybe you and your husband are going to be, I don't know, in Portugal in June, that type of thing. Before we even put it on the site, we just want to give it to you first if you're available, because we'd love to have you back. So some of the nice things you can do after the sit is I always leave a personal thank you. I should have, you know what? I didn't bring them up here, but I should have brought up here. I have note cards that are thank you notes, and they're really super cute. I have some that have dogs and cats on them, and then I have some that are, I've recently moved towards, which I only use the dog and cat ones, because they're they're like in color, and there's like characters of dogs and cats on there. I used to use that one, but I only use that one when I'm out of my regular stock. Because what did I say? I am an international luxury property sitter. Luxury properties, I want a more classic thank you note. So I have the ones that are on the good paper, and then they have a gold cat embossed, or there's one that's like a gold dog. So I usually bring those, and then I leave a handwritten note for the homeowner, and I leave it kind of in the kitchen, where they walk in, or wherever they can see it. Like if I know they're going to drop their keys on the desk or whatever, I leave it very visible. And then they have a handwritten thank you note that I leave, because a lot of times you don't see them when you leave the property. You may head out beforehand, and sometimes you may arrive at the property before they get there. But I like to leave that last little note. Totally unnecessary, but it is part of my brand of what I do. I've even heard of some sitters, like say you don't want to do a note or whatever. Some of the nice things too is like if you do leave a note, you could also leave, like say that's not your brand. Okay, that's me, right? I told you where my lane is. Maybe yours is more like you stay at cabins and you're more doing outdoors. Maybe what you leave is a little note that has a magnet for the state that you're from. So say you were doing a tour. I like themes. Say you were doing a tour of different national parks, and you want to sit in different cities next to parks or something like that. What you could leave behind is like literally a note card. Like think what goes with outdoors, like literally a note card or something that's a thank you note. And then maybe you leave a little magnet for their fridge in their home or whatever of the state that you're from, type thing. Just, this is like, it's a lot of this is about building relationships if you want. Now you can just be a sitter and you can just bop and you can like never talk to the people again. But if you take the time to build a good communication, and relationship with the homeowners, you're more likely to have them just reach out to you personally. Someone's asking, do you give them your cell number? So yes, they will, even though in the app, you can communicate in the app. Most times, once you've agreed to the sit, they're going to have my personal cell. I always provide it. And then we also connect on WhatsApp, especially for international sits. You're going to see that they're going to communicate more during, on WhatsApp, not through traditional cell. But if I'm in Mexico, I have T-Mobile in Mexico, and Mexico on T-Mobile's plan is like being home. So yes, they can just text me, but they do have my personal cell. I do provide that. You don't have to provide it, meaning you could do all your communication with an app, but I'm going to be honest with you. Homeowners are not always great about checking the apps, and sometimes they don't have their notifications on. And if you are having issues or there's like an emergency, they're going to provide you their cell number. So I provide mine as well in case because if their flight gets delayed or whatever, there's some urgent things that they need to get to you immediately. Once you get their welcome guide, you're going to have all their personal information as well. That's why it's really important to build up trust, and that they have to have somebody there that they trust, because they're going to give you all their personal information, including their contact numbers for neighbors and friends, other people's phone numbers for emergencies. So they're going to have my cell number as well. So other than after the sit, me leaving a little note, I sometimes will check back in with them the following year if I know that it was their anniversary. So I have a couple that I set for in Mexico City last year, and I'm aware that their wedding anniversary is coming up later, like in a couple of months. If I want to go down there, and I'm thinking about, the only reason I'm thinking about it is because I'm currently in the process of securing my next remote contract. So it's kind of like can I commit to that? What if I need to, not that I can't work remote from over there, but it's just also, do I want to spend money to fly down there, this, that, and the other? Anyway, I have a homeowner that I know their anniversary is coming up, and they went away last year for a week. And there's a good chance, because I have a relationship with them, I can reach out to them directly, not on the app. I mean, I can reach out on the app because the channel is open now that I've been a sitter for them. But I'll just send them a WhatsApp and ask them, hey, are you guys thinking of going away in blah, blah, blah? I want to let you know I'm available. If you guys decide to do something, let me know. And that's kind of, they don't even have to go. It's kind of like, you don't need to look for another sitter. I'm right here. I'm right here. You don't have to worry about booking anybody else. So these are ways that you can, once you build that relationship, you will stay busy. You will stay busy. People will come looking for you. You will not have to look for particular sits. Now, if you are targeting certain areas, then yes, you will still have to look for sits, but it's fun to sit, to kind of look through sits. Sometimes I just go on there and I just window shop. I window shop, and I like certain homes, and I'm like, didn't think of going there, but maybe after looking at the pet and their home and the location, reading about it, I might want to go there. So I save those. It's like shopping, window shopping. I love doing that. It's kind of dangerous, but it's fun. So I think I have shared with you a lot of information on becoming a new house sitter. And if anyone doesn't, if there's no other questions, I think I'm going to let you guys go and enjoy your evening. I think I'm going to do that. But I appreciate that you guys spent some time with me today. And don't forget, I will eventually end the replay. Oh, I did see one last question. One last question, almost ready to go. Are there any differences between domestic house sits and international? Other than the duties are pretty much the same, it's really the logistics and maybe the language barrier. And I would say the appliances in the home are going to be different. That's what I've determined, is especially like some of these homes in Mexico or even abroad, they have brands that we don't have for their refrigerator or their oven, things like, so pilot lights differently, or kettles need to be turned on. It's one of those. So they may have different brands than we're used to. And the funny thing is, a lot of times, because the homeowner lives there all the time, they're not thinking about, my oven is completely different than any oven this house sitter has ever seen. And because I use it every day, I don't realize that it's so different, and nobody's going to know how to light this thing. So a lot of times when I read through, but now I know those things. Like I used to have to Google. I would Google first couple of sits. I would Google the brand and figure out how to do it, because I don't want to contact the homeowner, right? They are on vacation. You're supposed to know how to figure stuff out. So after that, now that I'm a very experienced sitter, now those are things that once I read their welcome guide, if something is missing, I can point that out in like 2 seconds. I can be like, okay, I see what's missing. Can you add this, or can you include those? And once I explain to them that, hey, you live in the house every day. You live in the house every day. You know how everything works, and we don't know how things work. And you want somebody to come in and be able to not contact you about these things. They get it. They get it. And then they're like, okay, I understand. I can add that to the guide for the next sitter, that type of thing. The next sitter, if you don't come back, that is. So that's what it is. But if anyone has any other questions, please drop them in the chat. This is going to be like last call for any of the tips that you would want on becoming a first-time sitter. I hope I encourage you guys to become a house sitter, because it is really, really, really a wonderful way to travel, especially if you love to connect with people and to get more ingrained like in the culture. I absolutely love traveling this way. I can say that, but I will let you guys in on something. I am I'm a little bit of a people person, meaning I find people very interesting and I like to hear their stories and things like that. So I do like the connection part of it. I do enjoy that. And it's great to like show up the night before, meet the homeowner, show up with my husband, have drinks and whatever, or have dinner and talk through things and all of that. And And it's just like, it's a sense of building a community and letting you like explore outside your bubble you're used to. So I feel like every time I travel, I grow as a person, as an individual. I get more insight into other people's lives and what's normal for them and what their view is of life, how they live, things that are important to them. It's really beautiful. So I would encourage you to do the same. If you already follow me on Instagram, which you do, and you decide, I'm going to fill out my application now. I'm going to fill it out now, and because I want to be a house sitter, please use my link. It's in my description or underneath on Instagram. It will be in this as well in the description box for the live video. But do that. And if you hit a snag and you have a question, send me a DM. Don't send me 50 DMs. I'm not going to write the whole thing for you, but I can give you, and I'm not going to give like feedback. Don't send the whole thing for me to read. We're not doing that. What we're doing is, hey, I don't have this, that, and the other, or I was thinking of doing this. What do you think? That type of thing. But I'm open for questions. You can DM me and let me know if there's any other questions you have after this as you're going through the process. Oh, I see one last question. SLS was asking if there's a season where there's more sits in Mexico. I would say this. I feel like there's sits in Mexico just in general all the time. Summer was pretty high. Now Mexico is similar to us as far as they have their holiday seasons as well. So for them, a big time where you see like an influx of sits will be, I think it's April, end of March, April, whenever their Easter, the 2 weeks around Easter for them, there will be a lot of house sits because you have not only, I just told you about like teachers and things like that being off, but also everyone else likes to travel. So I see a lot of house sits during that time. And then in the summer, if you have a lot of expats will take their time to travel and see family in the summer because that's when their family is off, right? And their family may not want to come to Mexico, but they want to go back to the States or go wherever and visit their family. So I see a lot in the summer. I have seen a lot in the summer. There will also be a lot for the holidays. I mean, that's a given. So this is also a reason I wanted to do this now. There is no season that there are not house sits, okay? There are house sits all year long. There are certain seasons where you see an influx. And typically that's for holidays. You have, if it's domestic, just think US holidays. 4th of July, there's always sits, those types of things, like tons, because people, US, that's when we travel, right? We're very much on a calendar compared to some other places in the world that have more flexibility of when they're off or when they want to travel. It seems like people in Europe be traveling all the time. I'm not sure when they work in Europe, but they do seem to use all of their vacation time that they get. And so there sits for them all the time. But domestic, around the holidays, definitely the summer. And for Mexico, to answer your question about Mexico, like I said, their Easter season, there's a 2-week break there. Tons of house sits. Summer, lots of expats are doing their traveling then. That's when everybody else is off. That's when they can come back and see people, that type of thing, summer. And then also holidays. So this is actually a perfect time to do a profile. If you're new and you want to get started, start now. We're in October, we're in September. Woo, I'm moving fast. We're in September. And you have November, Thanksgiving coming up, right? And then December holiday. Like that whole time, you are going to see tons of sits. And even in Mexico. And spending any time in Mexico between November, December to New Year is just beautiful. Decorations are up. It's just festive. Like it's festive, like everywhere. I mean, Mexico is festive all the time anyway. That's what I love Mexico. Mexico will be like, we are festive on a Wednesday. Just because it's Wednesday, we're festive down here. But definitely with the things coming up now, if you did your profile now, and it takes you, and then you can get a character reference, like who can write for you in the next couple of days, you could literally have a profile up and ready in like 48 hours, do the verification, because they do, if you pick a certain membership, you will They'll do like background check and all of that. That you can have that done. It's like this. It's like instantaneous. It's not a hard background check, by the way. It's not all like you getting a job or anything. It just wants to make sure that you're going to keep everybody is who they say they are. Let's say that, which is another reason I like to use a site, because I know who I am and they know who they are, and everybody is aware that we're all real people, okay? And their houses are real and all of that. Going back to timing. So we're in September, you have October. So let's say you do a profile this week or next week. Let's say you do that, you get it up. You have time to either book your first sit, which is like a preview sit. If you want to get your feet wet, you don't want your first sit to be in wherever you want to be in the holidays. Because right now you really could be deciding where you want to be and spend the holidays. Where do you want to spend Thanksgiving? If you don't want to be around your folks or whoever you usually would be around. I'm just saying, if you have places that you want to be besides where you are now for Thanksgiving or Christmas, New Year's, that type of thing, you can start to decide that now, and you can bookmark those. You can save those searches within the app to start having those sits come to you. But you have plenty of time to set up a profile and actually get like your first sit and get your feet wet like sometime in the next month, and kind of feel good about it, and then be like, okay, now I've had my first sit, I've gotten a review, let me go ahead and apply for this sit so I can spend Christmas in New York City type thing. Okay, so this is like, the timing is perfect. We're coming out of the summer, fall is coming. People like to start to travel when the weather gets better. If you're a cold weather person, very cold, like if you love cold weather and you want to house sit in cold weather, you will stay busy. Read my lips. You will stay busy, because there's a lot of sitters like me that don't like cold weather and do not want to walk a dog in cold weather, or don't want to worry about snow. But if you love to ski and do those things and you like cold weather, I'm telling you, you will be turning down sits. You will just be like, I can't. I'm already booked. I'm sorry. Please stop reaching out. Because in those areas like Canada, once it gets cold, those people are fleeing. It's like a ship going down, and they just want to jump off. That is how they do when it starts to get cold up there. So you'll start to see, they're like, same thing with Asia. Places like Japan and things like that, Korea, come November, try to find them. They are somewhere else. That's when they want to get their travel in and do other things. So if you love cold weather, that's the perfect time to do Colorado, do Canada, places like that. Do Europe even. If you want to do Europe and you want to go ski during that time, do Switzerland in the middle of winter. If you're up for what I consider harsh climates, I don't know. I think I'm too gentle for harsh climates. I am more of a tropical flower, even though I do enjoy skiing. I like to look at it outside. I don't like to be in it. I like to put on pretty coats and like little hats and stuff like that. I like to look cute for the weather, but I don't like to be in the weather. And I definitely do not want to do that and then have to go walk a dog. But so I could do a cat. I could technically do a cat, but then, unless they have Uber Eats to bring me food, let's just say winter, house sitting in snow, not my thing. If it's your thing though, you will stay very busy, very, very busy. So Cherie was asking about putting together a profile. Cherie, I did talk a little bit about that and what you would want to include from your character reference. I didn't go into detail for each section, not in this live, but I plan to do another video to specifically talk about the profile, like each component of it, because I wanted to just kind of give people an overview of what they needed for their profile and some good tips. So there are some tips that I talked about a little bit earlier at the beginning, but as far as like actually putting in what you're going to put in each section, I just gave you a few tips on, what your character reference needs to look like, how to get some pictures with pets, those types of things. So it was kind of I think it was right at the beginning. So if you don't mind going back and just watching the first part, you'll be good. There's some little tips in there too, but I am thinking I will do a video to cover that more in detail. This was to ask questions. Now, if you have a specific question, Sherry, and I hope I'm saying your name right. If you have a specific question, you want to ask it really quickly before we end the live, go ahead and ask that, and I can answer it here. If you've already started your profile or we're looking at it and you have a question, you can drop it here very quickly, and I can answer that for you. And let you know what exactly it is that you need to do if you have a question or something like that. Oh, you said you don't mind watching from the beginning. Okay, I appreciate it because we did cover kind of like everything from start to finish. And I just wanted to give kind of people an overview because I know some people are on the fence of thinking of whether or not they can get away via house sitting. Yes, you can. You can get away via house sitting. And it is it's the best, to me, it's the best way to build relationships and save money while you're traveling at the same time. And who doesn't want to have, friends all around the world and resources all around the world. And like I said, if you're thinking of becoming an expat, moving abroad, I know I am. I'm going to see you guys somewhere other than the United States. But if you're thinking of doing that, then use house sitting as part of your, vetting these different countries. Use it to get abroad and figure out what's really going on in day-to-day life. Go down to Costa Rica and do a house sit and see if you like it. Do the day-to-day. Go to the market. See if you can figure out where things are. See if you can get the things you need. It can really be beneficial for you as a tactic to help get out, move around abroad, and decide where you want to be. You can take a break for a little while. You can take a break for a long time. You can find your forever place, and you can do that using house sitting. If you're watching on YouTube, please use my link if you'd like to join on Trusted House Sitters. That's the site I use. And I think I said this before. I think I'm going to let you guys go and finish your evening. I know on the East Coast, it is really late. And I don't know if you've missed dinner. I don't know if you already had dinner, but it's time for me to go find something to eat. And yeah, so I think I'm going to let you guys go. So thank you for joining me tonight. If you like, you know what? DM me if you're on Instagram. DM me and let me know if you like this time of me going live. I would love to continue to go live on Tuesday nights and just casually talk about anything dealing with house sitting. We may do some more work on profiles. You know what? We may just talk about getting away or taking a break. I mean, sometimes we need a break and we don't even know we need a break, or we're past the time we needed a break. And so we can help one another figure that out, how to get you the break that you deserve, whether it's a sabbatical or whether it is a month overseas. Whatever that break looks like for you, I am here to help you do that. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your evening, and I'll see you next week on a live. I'll let you know if I go live. Look for me next week.